Hey everybody, it's Tom Antion live. It's Sunday night in Virginia Beach and a lot of other places too. Let me refresh this browser over here and get my notes out and we will rock and roll. Make sure you say hello, give you a shout out, put your website in. We're very much interested in promoting the people that support the show. Oh man, so it's getting cold out there today. It started the weekend out was pretty nice, but started to take a big dive today. So had the dogs out, did a outdoor video today, and okay, I was remiss last week. Hey RC, how are you? I was remiss last week of pointing out we always have a little prop back here on the stairs. And so, hey Barbara. So, Charlotte, how are you? So I'd like you to put in your chat box if you what you think that is, or take a guess what that is. Hey Susanna. Yeah, so I forgot about that thing last week, and tell me if you know what it is. Now, I got to tell you, it's only half of what it really is, because the other half's in storage. I will tell you, it's not brand new. It's really, really old. Hey, Alan, how are you? So put it in your chat box if you think, or your comment box, see if you can guess what that thing is back there. So, as always, we have a warning. I get a little out of hand sometimes, language-wise, when I get fired up about bad people near the end of the show. RC says that Denver went from 80 degrees one day to 32 degrees in snow. Oh, my God. No, Susanna, it's not a genie in a bottle. Although a lot of times, speaking of that, Susanna, when people ask me, hey, Tom, is this headline better than this other headline? And I kind of get smart alecky and I say, well, you may rub me if you like, but I am not a genie in a bottle. All right, you got to test your stuff. I don't know what's best for your market. So, but anyway, no, it's not a genie in a bottle. So now let's get to our fake sponsor. That's not moonshine, Charlotte. No. Our fake sponsor for today is Duracell Batteries. All right, they are definitely not sponsoring us, but they're our fake sponsor for this time. Hey, Roberto, how are you? And I'll tell you why they're our fake sponsor. They kind of, hey, Stephen, how are you? Stephen is right. He wins the prize of a worn-out AAA Duracell battery, Stephen. You can pick it up here at the office anytime you're in the neighborhood. Stephen and I have a product together, folks, called Magic for Speakers that we did years ago. And it's actually a really good tip on how to create a product where neither person owes the other one a royalty. So you come together, create a product, and go your separate ways. So good to see you, Stephen. So anyway, the reason the Duracell is the batteries, now I have no proof of what I'm going to tell you right now. But my dad is credited with putting the first electric light bulb in Carnegie, Pennsylvania in the early 1900s. Carnegie, Pennsylvania was started in 1894, and a lot of the immigrants from Syria ended up outside, it's outside of Pittsburgh, landed in Carnegie, Pennsylvania. And my dad there used to be kerosene lights in the homes and gas lights on the streets. And my dad was studying electrical engineering at 10 years old. And he had his own electrical contracting company at 13 years old. All right, so you wonder where I get my entrepreneur stuff, right? So he got batteries behind the hardware store that were worn out. He soaked them in vinegar to recharge them somehow. He's just a brilliant person. And hooked it up to a little electric bulb with a little ceramic thing and some wires, and it lit up their whole one-room home in those days. So he was credited with putting the first electric light bulb in Carnegie, Pennsylvania. So quiz question is, when and by whom is credited for the first battery? All right. So put that in your comment box if you can figure that out. Who was credited and what year for the first battery? Of course, they weren't like this in those days. All right, so let's see what's coming up here today. Well, we got some interesting mail in the mailbag. A lot of news. I pray you like the car crash news that I'm going to tell you about. And I'm also going to tell you about a dog that really had to step up and take over during the news. In the scam section, whatever I tell you is going to be fake. Okay, so you can't trust that. In the brutal self-defense, I don't want you turning your back on me ever again. Got that? And on the internet section, power to the people. Yay. And a speaking tip, you've heard of the alt-right. Is that right? That's all come up during the election, right? The alt-right. Well, this is the alt-opening. Okay? And the a-hole of the week, I'll tell you what, I think all 11-year-old honor roll students in Florida, RC says the Egyptians made the first primitive batteries. That could be true, but there is a person and a year that's attributed to the first battery. Anyway, I think all 11-year-old honor roll students should be prosecuted, all right? We got far too many good, upstanding, generous kids running loose in this country, so they should be thrown in jail. We should be spending more efforts robbing veterans and giving everything we possibly can to Veterans Administration's executives. Okay, all right, that's in the a-hole of the week section. And in the hero of the week section, I couldn't possibly do what this superwoman did. All right, so let's get going here. Announcements. Don't forget our Facebook group, and I actually think there's a question about that in our in the mailbag. But let's see. Oh, that's the Egyptians thing again. Yeah, it's going good. Let's see. I know where you're going with that in Florida, says Al. Yeah, that's right. So you got to write this down, folks. You're pretty much crazy if you just don't join this group. It's $1 trial for 7 days. Hey, Roman, how are you? But it's greatinternetmarketing.com/screwthecommute. greatinternetmarketing.com/screwthecommute. It's a $1 trial for 7 days, and then $37 a month, or you can get the whole year for $297. And I'm just hitting tip after tip after tip. You know, I've been an entrepreneur my entire life, 40 plus years in formal business, and then really since I was 10 years old, have my own marketing business. And then I sold my first used car when I was 15 years old and couldn't drive yet. So just all kinds of tips, great networking, and you can promote whatever you want on Fridays and get feedback from people. It's just a $1 trial for 7 days. Just get in there and mix it up a little bit. greatinternetmarketing.com/screwthecommute. All right, let's see here. Let's get to the mailbag. Emily, and this is is asking about this thing. What did it take to start your new Facebook group, and how is it doing? Well, basically, Emily, it took nothing. I'm not the biggest fan in the world of depending on a free service that could change on a dime and just, you're out of business. However, I wanted to prove that it could be done. So I went to Facebook, I started a private group, and then I just told people about it, that I'm going to be giving entrepreneur tips, or small business tips. And so to really do this, Emily, there's nothing to it other than picking a topic. You really want it to be based around a topic. That'll get you more people. I haven't been putting much promotion into it. So basically, and here's, I'll be open with you, in the first, it's been 20 days so far. It's brought in about $3,000 and created a $160 a month recurring income. Now, I don't know how long people will last yet if they pay by the month, but so that's not bad. Probably hit about 4,000 before the first month, so not too shabby. I'm putting currently I'm putting business tips in there every day until we get it built up enough where other people are throwing in tips, and I'm doing more critiquing and helping, and then I'll put training in a couple times a week probably. There we go. Okay, so it's doing well. It's greatinternetmarketing.com/screw the commute. Okay, Jorge wants to know, what paid traffic sources am I using? Well, currently, Jorge, I'm using YouTube video ads, I'm using Facebook ads, and Facebook video ads. And occasionally I'll use a place called Outbrain when I want to do something general that's, in the Huffington Post and Forbes and AOL. That's Outbrain. It's a pay-per-click service, self-serve, so you can just you don't have to have an advertising rep or anything to do it, but you could be in some massive publications and get enormous traffic that way. So that is where I'm advertising. YouTube video ads, Facebook ads, and Facebook video ads. Jeff wants to know, you said you were going to try out a desktop Facebook Live software. Did you? Yes, I did. Dean Hankey, one of our visitors on the show here, told me about one. I can't think of the name of it right now because it's not ready for prime time. I tried it. I had their representative give me a walkthrough. And what cracks me up is these people invent this stuff, and they're young people, right? And they have great ideas, but they're terrible business people. They don't think through things. They usually release them just to get money, and then, hell with it, and they don't think things through. So this girl, when she was in diapers, I was making $100,000 a month. And I'm telling her, your screen layout is screwed up. They have, if this is the screen, this much of it is just a picture of me looking at myself. And then a little tiny area that I can hardly see the comments scrolling by, and you can't adjust them so that to make the comments big. And I don't need to monitor myself that closely. It could be this big, just to make sure I'm in the frame. But so I said, hey, get back to me when you're ready for prime time, because this ain't. And I don't know if they absorbed it or not. They'll just go find somebody who's too stupid to do it. Hey, David. Hey, nice to see you. Hey, we still haven't got the answer to when the battery was considered to be invented and who it's attributed to. Oh, thank you. Roman says, hello, my favorite entrepreneur and mentor. Always nice to see you. Same here, Roman. Okay, so yeah, the desktop thing is not ready for prime time. Okay, let's get to the news. Now, this poor lady's prayers apparently were not answered. That's such a shame. A 28-year-old woman, she veered off the road and into a house. This is in the Florida panhandle town of Mary Esther. I guess that's a town. And she wasn't on drugs. She wasn't drinking. She didn't fall asleep. But she explained to the police officer that she went through the stop. She must have gone through a stop sign and ran off the road because she closed her eyes to pray. And she drove. She ran into a house. Thank God nobody got hurt, but I don't think her prayers were answered. I don't know. Call me crazy, but now this is another vehicle related. I guess it's crazy, funny, and tragic at the same time. Este Sanchez Izaga was arrested for DUI, hit and run, and vehicular manslaughter. This is Oceanside, California. after driving 3/4 of a mile with the pedestrian that she had hit's corpse laying on her windshield. Right? She ended up at her home, and then her horrified husband noticed the body and called police. I mean, you got to be some kind of screwed up not to notice a dead body on your windshield. Oh man, that's why I don't even drive so much anymore. Let alone fly. I just stay home. It's crazy out there. Now this next one is one of my favorites for a long time. This is now, for those of you that don't know, the term open carry means that this is a state-by-state thing. Virginia's an open carry state. But in an open carry state, if you are allowed to have a gun, you can put it on your hip or carry it on your shoulder, or whatever you want, and walk right down the street perfectly legal. That's what open carry is, okay? So, in let's see, what's the name of this town? Vaughn, New Mexico, which is about 90 miles east of Albuquerque. Small town, like when I came from, like 500 people, right? And the only two people that, aren't legally allowed to carry in Vaughn, New Mexico were the two people on the police force. They found out that the chief, Ernest Armijo, was convicted of criminal non-support of his wife and 2 kids and barred from possessing a gun. And the deputy, this reminds me of Mayberry and Don Knotts. The deputy, Brian Bernal, had convicted for family violence that banned him from carrying a gun. All right, so this story breaks, and a month later, so we haven't even gotten to the good part yet, folks. A month later, when this story breaks, both the chief and the deputy resign. Okay, so they're gone, and. RC, you're right. Alessandra Volta was the battery in 1800, so you get a used up AAA battery the next time you stop by. Okay, so back to Vaughn, New Mexico. So the chief resigns and the deputy resigns. So the only one left that was an active officer was the police dog. I can just see him. He's got to open up the jail every morning. The dog. I guess the dog's allowed to carry a gun. They don't have anybody else. All right, so let's go to the scam bag. That's where we find what? The scumbags, right? Well, first of all, there was just a bust of a psychic company that had stolen 180 million, or defrauded people of $180 million. They got caught selling all kinds of lottery, predictions and just a whole bunch of stuff, and then they keep upselling to big stuff for the people that they're most susceptible. So that's a scam. But what I want to talk to you about, though, today in the scam bag is something that's been in the news called fake news. Facebook is being confronted about doing something about all the fake news. I remember last week people were putting out a graphic that Trump won the popular vote, and they gave fake numbers. All right, and that spread like crazy. I almost spread it, but what I usually do is when I see a piece of news, and I look at the source, and if it's some oddball thing that's not recognizable, I see if I can find any major news sources, even though CNN and all those places are corrupt as hell and slanted, still they don't want to put out a big fake piece of news, because that's really, even a bigger loss of credibility. So I try to see if some major news source, Wall Street Journal or New York Times or Washington Post, and again, all of these people are scumbags, but they still don't want to put out totally fake stuff, because it comes back and makes them look stupid. So, but a recent study by Harvard University estimated, now this is in China, but there's no reason it couldn't be happening here. China funds the creation of at least 488 million bogus social media posts a year. The report refers to a government-sponsored arrangement, rumored, that they pay people equivalent of about 8 cents for fake news posts to try to bury all the bad stuff the government does. So they pay people to post this stuff. So there's no reason it can't be done here. But for your own credit, the only reason I bring it up is for your own credibility. Don't spread around stuff unless it's absolutely for certain, because it just makes you look bad. All right, so that's the scam bag. Okay, self-defense tip. This also has a Trump flair to it. Some of you may have seen, it's been quite a bit shown on TV, a Trump supporter was, and the people didn't even know he was a Trump supporter at the time, which is kind of odd, but he was drugged from his car, and multiple attackers were basically kicking the shit out of him. So, and it's all on video. They got all this on video. Now, of course, me, been in a lot of fights, can slow things down in my mind, what I would have done in a certain situation. But, of course, if the guy's not trained, he's not trained. And so he took a pretty big beating. And while they were beating the shit out of him over here, another guy was jumping in his car to try to steal the car. So the guy ended up being able to get up, and he ran over to the car. And he got in what we call the fatal funnel of cars. This is where the door is open, all right? And the other guy's sitting in there trying to steal the guy's car. And the guy gets himself in the fatal funnel where the door is on one side, the car is on the other, like this, and he's in here. So he can't move left, he can't move right, he can't go in because the other guy's sitting there. So you don't have a lot of options right there. But the big mistake he made was turning his back. He got away from the one guy, ran over to his car, and just totally turned his back on the other guy that he'd just been fighting with. Now, he didn't do anything to incapacitate that guy. So the guy just came up from behind him and just started pum, on the back of his head. Well, one of my quotes is, if you get knocked unconscious, unconscionable things will happen to you. So thank God the guy that was beating on him, really didn't know how to hit that well. He was just flailing around, and the guy didn't get killed. But you don't turn your back on anybody unless they're absolutely incapacitated and you have a clear route to safety. See? So never, ever, ever turn your back on somebody. Now, if with multiple attackers, you've got to line them up so they're fighting against each other to get to you. But don't let them get behind you, because if they get behind you, everybody's watching these, mixed martial arts. They're going to choke you out or just beat the shit out of you. You get hit right here in the back of the head with a 2x4, you're going to be pushing up daisies. I mean, it could kill you. So don't turn your back on anybody. Okay, your internet tip. Well, and all this stuff I've been doing with paid ads, I decided to take the plunge and learn the Power Editor for Facebook ads. Now it's very complicated, so make sure there's plenty of people who give you tutorials on it. And it changes rapidly, but if you are going to be doing Facebook ads, it just gives you a lot of flexibility, and it makes it a lot easier to split test and make multiple ads way faster than the ads manager, or definitely don't get sucked into just boosting a post. I mean, I did that a few times, months and months ago just to play with it, but you can't do the things you need to do. Now, if you haven't been doing any Facebook advertising, you don't even know what you could be doing. But do it right from the first place, even if it takes a lot longer and you have to really study. It's better than just blowing money. Say, oh, I'm advertising on Facebook. Well, how much money are you making? Well, no, I haven't made any money. Well, yeah, who cares? Anybody can spend money somewhere and not make any money back. So don't do that. Learn to use the Power Editor, and also anytime you've got ads running, you got to obsess on stuff until you see a trend where it's making you money and you're not losing money. And guess how I know this, folks? Guess how I know this? Years and years ago, I put ads in Google AdWords and got too busy, and I don't know, had to go somewhere, speak for the weekend or something. $8,000 in ads got run up, and I had to pay it. All right, so I don't want to scare you from doing this, because we're going to paid traffic, because it's just it just takes too long, and it's too much of a fight for search engine traffic anymore. I mean, we still make our sites search engine friendly, but it can take months and months and months if you ever get a high ranking. So paid traffic is the way to go. So, but learn, if you're going to do Facebook, learn the Power Editor. Okay, now next speaking tip. All right, this is where the alt opening. So I'm going to suggest, if you really want to make a big splash, do some alternative openings to your speech, and I've got some examples here for you. But the overriding principle is you just don't want to do something to be goofy, okay, or weird, or just to do something different. You should always make a point if you're going to do something different. So I'm going to read off a list, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I think six of them here for you now. So you might want to jot them down. One is you could start your speech from the back of the room instead of the front of the room. You could start your speech with your back turned towards the audience, up on stage in front of them, but with your back turned towards them. You could start from the audience. If you weren't recognizable, you could be sitting in the audience. And then when you're introduced, everybody's looking around, you jump up and go on stage. You could start with a voiceover. In other words, they just hear you talking before you've come on stage. Another one would be start with a room blackout and a voiceover. So the room is totally dark except for the exit signs. You can't block them out. And they hear you talking. Room blackouts, there's another one I'm going to tell you about here in a minute, but concentrate people on the audio, because the visual cues are taken away, so it hones in on the audio when you do a room blackout. Next one is a room blackout. I did this one at a big event one time, where I put, these glow sticks where you break them and they light up. Well, they do them in different sizes, hearts and stars and stuff. So I used to buy them in bulk stars. No, I think they actually gave them to me as a promotion. Yeah, that was a long time ago. I mean, I'd tape them underneath the chair before anybody got there. And I'll tell you why, because one time there was a big group, and my assistant started throwing them into the crowd, and one bounced off somebody's hand, hit somebody in the eye, and tore their cornea. I thought I was going to move to Mexico or my career was over. And luckily, the guy got better, but don't throw stuff that's sharp into the audience. So anyway, you can tape them up under, do a room blackout, and then tell people on the audio, reach under your chair, you'll find something there, grab it off and squeeze it. and then the whole room lit up with stars. And then, I'd open the speech, I'm here, but you all are the stars, like if it was like an awards thing or something, right? So if you start at the back of the room, you might say something like, have you, do you feel like your clients have their backs turned towards you? No, that would be like if you were on stage with your back turned toward them. Do you ever feel like your clients aren't listening to you? Their backs turned towards you? Something like that. You have to think it through a little better than that. But those are called alternative openings. I used to do, singing openings and all kinds of fun stuff. I had a confetti microphone. It was a fake microphone, and it shot confetti out everywhere. But again, you always got to make a point to do it. All right, unless you're just there for fun or you're a comedian or something, that you don't have to. Okay, so let's get to the a-holes of the week. Let's see. I actually have two. The first one is a guy named Thomas Birch. This guy, now this pisses me off so bad, folks. This guy was a career lawyer for the Department of Veterans Affairs, okay? And he's going to retire in November with a full pension and lifetime health care. All right, well, you say, well, so what? He's a government worker, that's the way it is. Well, here's the so what for this son of a bitch. He was in the process of being fired by the VA. They did an internal investigation and found that besides working there and screwing everything up for the veterans, he ran a charity called the National Vietnam Veterans Foundation, where he raised $29 million for this fund. Only 2% went to actual veterans causes, and that 2% they found was misused and misspent, probably to his buddies or to himself. And this son of a bitch is getting a full pension and everything from the VA. He was running this while he was in the VA, and this is not right, folks. These people, I mean, can't believe that. It's been 2 years since they uncovered these things with the Veterans Administration. All these people were sitting home collecting big salaries, and they're scumbags, son of a bitches, and female, male and female. All right, this sucks. That son of a bitch, Thomas Birch is his name. I hope he fucking rots in his retirement. All right, now this next one was sent to me by Alan Baris, one of our favorite guys on this site, and he's also my cohort in crime on brutal self-defense. So here's what happened. This is Silver Trail Middle School in Pembroke Pines, Florida. An honor roll student, an 11-year-old girl, used a toddler's knife, fork, and spoon set. I mean, she had these since she was a baby. And she had them at school, and she cut a peach in half to give to one of her friends. All right? So first of all, 11-year-old girl, honor roll student, but generously giving half of her fruit to someone in the cafeteria, right? Well, according to the school district, these brilliant fuckheads, the girl violated the county's weapons policy when she used that toddler's knife to cut the peach. So they turned it over to the Pembroke Pines Police Department, who is turning it over to the state's attorney's office. What fucking morons do we have running this country? Jesus fucking Christ. I guess there's not enough drugs down there. I guess there's not enough violent crime. I guess there's not enough rape. I guess there's not enough guns on the street for these dumb motherfuckers to be going after an 11-year-old honor roll student, a sweet girl who's exemplary in her school, and now they're putting her in front of the fucking state's attorney's office? What kind of dumb motherfuckers do we have in our educational system? Jesus fucking Christ, it's no wonder the place is going to hell. It's no wonder people got behind Trump. Even if he sucks, he can't be as bad as these dumb social justice motherfucking warriors. God damn it. Jesus fucking Christ. So the article went on to say, why use common sense when these rabid, I love this guy's writing, rabid, hysterical, mentally unhinged, half-witted, imbecilic fuck badgers can simply suspend a good kid and be done with it. I guess thinking is goddamn hard, apparently. Jesus Christ. Dumbasses. You know, I wish I could get a bigger platform in my show to just to run these assholes over the coals. God damn it. But thank God we have a hero of the week. You know, that brings me down after these dumb motherfuckers in our educational system. It's damn lucky I'm 61 years old and be dead before these little, you know, and I don't blame the kids. Yeah, come on, tell us how you feel about it. But they're making these kids into pieces of shit. They're seeing this. Their leaders are going to, and so these kids are going to be running the country. Jesus Christ, we're in trouble. But thank God for Becca Stevens. Becca Stevens has a place called Thistle Farms. Thistle, Thistle Farms. Now, Becca was abused as a child. In fact, she said that most sexual assaults on children start between 7 and 11 years old, or women, or females. So somehow, who knows, she is also a minister, some kind of minister. Somehow she got the idea that she's going to put 5 women who have been abused, addicted on prostitution from the worst area of town, going to put them in a house, a beautiful house, give them a set of keys for 2 years rent-free. And she did this. And she started turning these women around. And they actually started just at the kitchen making body lotion and candles and stuff like that, you know, that kind of stuff. And now she's built it up to a $2 million a year company, employs 75 of these women that have been abused, addicted, and so forth. And they're building it up and to be able to get more and more women, you know, into these houses and then into a job and change their life around. Now, I'm getting some of these folks from CNN Hero of the Year thing. Last week we had the guy about the horses and stuff. It was great. But again, this lady is changing lives and deserves credit for it. And probably, just like many of these people, that's the last thing they're thinking about is credit. What they're thinking about is, how can I help another person? The one guy last week was 86 years old, still doing it, just going strong. So, boy, if we could all think about like that, how can I help one more person and one more person? And pretty soon you got 10, 20. Pretty soon you got 50. Pretty soon you changed the freaking world. So, Becca Stevens, you're just a gift from heaven to these people that need you, and I hope you live forever. So here we go. There we go. We made it through another show. Thanks for stopping by, everybody. Don't forget, go join the darn Screw the Commute. At least try it for $1 for a week. At least you'll get a free critique of something and whatever you want. You can, if it's Friday, you can advertise. So go to greatinternetmarketing.com/screw the commute. Join the group. And then here we go. Make sure you stay home. That's what I like to do. Stay safe and make some money while you're doing it. Catch you next week.